Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in Jew. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. And welcome to the Doctor Who show. I want to talk about Russell T Davies. I want to talk about how the BBC have never cared about Doctor Who in its over 60-year existence, or however long or old it is now, right? And I also want to talk about the sad news that the Who Addicts YouTube channel announced that they will no longer be doing what they're doing, and they're going to change the channel, talk about football, talk about different things. So I want to talk about them. But first of all, I want to say this. The BBC have never cared about Doctor Who. In fact, it wasn't their idea to revive the show in 2005. If Russell T Davies hadn't pushed the issue, it would never have happened. It was him who went to the BBC. It was him who asked to run it, and they allowed him to do so. It was an amazing situation. I think it was because it was him and people respected him. But at the end of the day, without Russell T Davies, Doctor Who wouldn't have come back, and especially in such a fantastic way. Nobody wanted to touch it apart from Russell. He did with his passion. He brought it back. And whether you like his take on Doctor Who or not, it was a great modern take that didn't change what Doctor Who was. Yes, it was more modern. It was more emotional. It was more focused on the companion and their backstories as well as the Doctor's story. But it absolutely worked. Russell gave it romance. He gave it passion. He gave it excitement. Some of you believe he made it too epic, and you feel that Doctor Who shouldn't be epic. And that's absolutely fine for you to think that. But Russell is a Doctor Who fan, and so is Stephen Moffat. Now, in terms of Russell T Davies and Stephen Moffat, whatever you think of them, they were allowed to run Doctor Who their way. Russell T Davies stuck with the same producers for his whole 5-year run. At the end of the day, Phil Collinson and Julia Gardner were there for the whole journey. Unfortunately, other producers didn't stick with Stephen Moffat. I'm afraid he went through quite a few producers, and that's because the way he works is very unorthodox. He's not really a producer. He's a storyteller. He's a talented storyteller. There's no question about that. But when you see this over 10-year run of New Who now, you can see that it's only Russell T Davies who can make it work. He gave us an absolute franchise. He gave us the Doctor Who show. He gave us Torchwood. He brings back Sarah Jane and gives her her own show. His franchise had a beginning, middle, and ending, and it worked for so many people. And for the first time in its history, Doctor Who was a popular mainstream show around the world. But more than that, it was a franchise. It was a successful franchise. And once he left, all that was over. And you could tell. I mean, I like Doctor Who Season 5. I think Doctor Who Season 6 is okay. And Season 7 is absolutely mediocre. And then you've got the situation of Stephen Moffat not feeling it anymore once he found out that Matt Smith didn't want to carry on in the role. That's ridiculous. I know they were friends. I know he enjoyed writing for him. But you can't, and then you've got the situation where they wouldn't allow him to leave. And this is the problem. Now with Doctor Who Season 11, you've got, Chris Chibnall running Doctor Who. You've got this situation where he's kind of running it himself. He's kind of not. He was going on about a writer's room where he wrote a predominant amount of the episodes, which is ridiculous. That's not how a writer's room works, Chris. You work with people, you listen to ideas, you get other people to write episodes as well. Now, in American shows, it does work out like when you do the first season, you as a showrunner will write kind of the main amount of episodes just to get your ideas across. So you can do what you want to do with the show. Then when the following seasons come in, you allow people to come in. It's happened with so many shows. It happened with Smallville, etc., etc. But the problem is Chris Chibnall's way of doing Doctor Who simply didn't work. And it's very strange and it's very weird in the sense that you have the first 3 episodes, which were extremely strong. That's my opinion. the comments down below for your opinions, which I respect, so please respect mine. I believe that The Woman Who Fell to Earth, The Ghost Monument, and Rosa were three very strong episodes, and especially in The Woman Who Fell to Earth, I felt Jodie was absolutely acting like the Doctor. But then, from episode 4 to the season finale, it was boring, it was mediocre, it was uninteresting, and we started making commentary on things that there was no place. That is not what Doctor Who's about. First 3 episodes, amazing. It was all about shouting out about men. It was all about making stupid points. It was that stupid Trump episode, Arachnids in the UK. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Self-indulgent. And literally, he's taken the love for Doctor Who from a lot of people. We'll always love Doctor Who. We'll always love its past. We'll always be grateful to Russell T Davies. He brought it back in such a great way. He made it so relevant, so exciting. He gave us Captain Jack, this Han Solo type character. He was amazing. So many amazing things, so many amazing companions, and we are where we are. So the debate runs on, was Jodie Whittaker the right choice, or did he just cast her because they were friends and they'd worked on Broadchurch before? Of course he cast her because he knew her. I think that he did go to a few prominent actors, female actors, who laughed at him, laughed him out of the building, and in the end, all he could do was go to Jodie Whittaker. She was desperate enough to take the role. Jodie Whittaker could be a great Doctor. She was a great Doctor, especially in The Woman Who Fell to Earth. I really absolutely felt that. But creatively, they changed the direction from episode 4. And this is where the problem lies with season 11, because I think the first 3 episodes are pretty cool. Even though I felt that Khazro, in episode 3, even though he's merely a space racist, I still think the character had potential. This was an opportunity to do the Captain Jack thing again. Take someone who's a bit dark, a little bit murky, a little bit, morally murky, if you like, and then he's inspired by the Doctor, and he changes, and he becomes the Doctor's friend. But no, he's bad, he's a man, he's a space racist, that's it. So if you look at the world like that, in black and white terms, then you never, ever, nobody ever gets better. Nobody ever evolves. Nobody ever changes, and that's the problem with SJWs. They don't see any in between. They see black and they see white. And this was the problem with Doctor Who Season 11. Too much SJW commentary, but I believe the first 3 episodes were really good. And if we went along the same lines, we would have had something special. Maybe Season 12 will get us that. But from what we're hearing, it's not exactly sounding too good. Now, it'll be very interesting what happens, because if it is bad, we'll see how many people stick by it. So now I want to talk about the Who Addicts. The Who Addicts started with 2 young guys. I can't remember their names. I apologise, but they used to do this whole intro with their sonic screwdrivers. They'd have the intro, then they'd come in. They were brilliant, very intelligent guys. They'd analyse each episode very deeply, very thoroughly. They knew their stuff, nothing like me. I forget everything. And by the time I get to do the video, I don't write anything down and it becomes a mess, a bit like this video. So they were very good. So one of the lads decided to focus on his education at university. He dropped out, and obviously they got another guy in. And the lad who remained, he got his girlfriend Liv involved. Liv is awesome, and she's very passionate about Doctor Who. And they were doing reviews and carrying on with Doctor Who Season 11. So they announced the other day on Twitter that they're going to change their YouTube channel. They're going to be talking about football and stuff like that, which is awesome. But they spoke a bit about maybe they're not getting the traction they want. And also they talked about the toxicity of the fan base. Toxicity is everywhere. What toxicity is within fandoms is passion spilling out. Now, I don't think you can have a channel. I don't think you can talk on Twitter. I don't think you can be ambitious and want people to follow you and subscribe to you so you can become well known and make money from those things unless you're willing to take the toxicity. If you can't handle the toxicity, you can't be successful in any forms of life, but especially not the internet. You have to rise above it. You can't fight every war. You can't reply to every comment. It's ridiculous. Sometimes you have to rise above it. But mostly, toxicity in Doctor Who is just passion for the Doctor spilling over. And if we remember that, I think it's a shame. I think the Who Addicts not doing Doctor Who anymore. And obviously they're going to change their name and everything. And they're going to try and rebrand themselves. Again, that's a pretty dangerous game to play. I'm sad because I liked what they did. And I think they're kind of making a mistake. But that's up to them. It's their free will. It's their channel. They can rebrand their channel. I just feel if you're kind of rolling things up because of toxicity, maybe they also mentioned, of course, that they're not exactly that in love with what's going on with Doctor Who right now. But I think it's important to have your channel and to be able to air your feelings. But I think sometimes with those guys, they always seem to maybe be a bit too on the reserve front and maybe not say exactly what they thought. I think you've got to be brave. You've got to be bold. You've got to say what you want to say. Otherwise, it's not worth having a channel. It's not worth having a Twitter account. There are so many different opinions out there. And when you have a channel, it's about representing your own opinion, representing others' opinions, having a debate. That's what it's all about. And it's fun. Maybe some people don't see fun as fun. But I'm really, really sad that the Who Addicts won't be doing what they're doing anymore. I think it's a sad day. I hope they're doing it for the right reasons. I hope they don't feel like they've been bullied off the platform, and that's why they're going to be doing different things. And by the way, lads, if you're going to be talking about football, it's not going to get any less toxic because football fandom's even worse. So I wish the Who Addicts all the best for the future. I'm very sad that they're not going to be talking about Doctor Who anymore. As I say, I hope they at least do the odd Doctor Who video because their knowledge is there. They've got a fan base. They have. People love the Who Addicts. So, yes, expand by all means. My channel does a bit of everything. Some things I talk about nobody's interested in because I've kind of got a following through DC fans, so I might get 50 to 100 views there. If I talk about Manchester United or Doctor Who, people are not going to come in. So I think it's exciting that they're expanding the channel, but I do hope they keep on talking about Doctor Who. The Who Addicts are classy people that I've always liked, and I think I've not always agreed with them, but I would never slaughter anyone for having an opposing opinion. So what do you think? What do you think about the state of Doctor Who right now? Am I right that the BBC just don't care about Doctor Who and never have? I know exactly how Russell T Davies got into doing Doctor Who, and it's because he wanted to. It's because he approached it, because he was very aggressive about the point that he wanted to run Doctor Who and run it his way. He knew how to do it. The difference between Russell T Davies, Stephen Moffat and Chris Chibnall, Russell T Davies is a good producer as well as a storyteller. And at the end of the day, Stephen Moffat and Chris Chibnall cannot run a large team. They can't inspire a large team. And that's exactly what Russell T Davies can do. I personally think unless he comes back or the BBC start to care, and I don't think the BBC care enough to go back to Russell T Davies. I think it's something he's going to have to do himself. And I don't think he even wants to come back, which is a shame. But he's done his time, I suppose, and his years and years was fucking amazing, wasn't it, as well? So the man's a genius. He hasn't lost his passion. He hasn't lost his talent. I just think it's a shame where Doctor Who is today. So comment down below, like, share and subscribe, and I'll be back later on.